In the quiet suburbs of Detroit, Michigan, a tragedy struck that would leave a family heartbroken and a community searching for answers. Flynn McReynolds, an 18-year-old college freshman and promising athlete, was killed in a high-speed crash. The driver? His friend and neighbor, Kiernan Tugg. But the story doesn't end there. As investigators dug deeper, shocking details emerged. Was Flynn's death a preventable tragedy? This is the heartbreaking case of Flynn McReynolds. Flynn McReynolds was no ordinary teenager. As a standout swimmer, he had earned a scholarship to the University of Dayton, where his hard work, dedication, and talent propelled him to success. Flynn's family and friends saw him as someone destined for greatness. He was a young man with a bright future, someone who had everything going for him. But on November 17, 2023, Flynn's life would come to a sudden, devastating end. That day, his friend Kiernan Tugg picked him up in a BMW X3M, a high-performance vehicle. Just minutes later, Flynn's life was cut short in a crash that left the community reeling. On that tragic day, Kiernan was behind the wheel of the BMW. The two friends were driving through their suburban neighborhood when Kiernan, at just 16 years old, lost control of the car. He was traveling at 105 miles per hour in a residential zone, with a speed limit of just 25 miles per hour. The crash was violent and catastrophic. The car hit a post before slamming into a tree, splitting in two from the impact. Flynn McReynolds, seated in the passenger seat, was killed instantly. Kiernan, though seriously injured, survived. The crash shocked the Grosse Pointe community. But as details of Kiernan's driving habits began to emerge, the story took an even darker turn. As investigators delved into Kiernan Tugg's past, they uncovered something chilling. His mother, Elizabeth Tugg, had been well aware of his reckless driving. Text messages between mother and son revealed multiple incidents of dangerous behavior behind the wheel. 2 months before the fatal crash, Elizabeth sent Kiernan a frantic text after learning that he had been driving 123 miles per hour in the family's Audi coupe. She wrote, "Slow the right now." But that wasn't the only incident. In another message, she told him, "I have screenshots of you doing 90 miles per hour in the middle of the night when I didn't even know you had left." And again 2 weeks ago, going 123 miles per hour just because. She knew his driving habits were dangerous, and yet she allowed him continued access to high-performance cars. Kiernan's reckless driving wasn't the only sign of trouble. His relationship with his mother was fraught with conflict. Text messages showed arguments about taking and using her credit card without permission, staying out late, and of course, his dangerous driving. Elizabeth Tugg had expressed concern to investigators. She admitted that Kiernan's behaviors scared her to the bone. And yet, despite these fears, she still allowed him to drive the family's vehicles, including a new BMW she had just purchased. In fact, the two had a heated argument just 2 weeks before the crash. Kiernan had broken a table after Elizabeth told him he couldn't use the car. Investigators found that she had little control over her son, even though she tried to rein him in. This wasn't the first time Kiernan had been in trouble. In 2020, a police report revealed a shocking incident. During a family dispute, Kiernan assaulted his mother while she was sitting in the back seat of their car. He turned around and began punching her, even biting her hand before fleeing the scene. That incident resulted in Kiernan being arrested for domestic violence and spending time in a youth home. Despite this violent past, Elizabeth continued to allow her son privileges, including access to her vehicles. In another troubling event, Kiernan had been in a fight with his mother just weeks before the crash. The argument was over his request for an American Express Gold Card, which she refused to get him. These incidents painted a picture of a troubled teen with a history of defiance and reckless behavior. For Flynn McReynolds' parents, Ann and Thad, these revelations only deepened their grief. Their son had been in the wrong place at the wrong time, but could his death have been prevented? Ann McReynolds has been vocal in her criticism of Elizabeth Tugg, accusing her of enabling her son's dangerous behavior. One compared Elizabeth's decision to allow Kiernan to drive the high-performance BMW to handing him a deadly weapon. She said, "It's like she handed him an AR-15. Flynn's family now believes that Elizabeth Tugg should be held accountable for her role in the events leading up to their son's death. This brings up a difficult question. Can a parent be held responsible for their child's reckless actions? Flynn's parents think so, and they're seeking justice not just for Kiernan's actions, but for his mother's apparent negligence as well. In March 2024, Kiernan Tugg was charged with second-degree murder. However, he is not being charged as an adult. Instead, Kiernan was designated as an adult designated juvenile, meaning that if convicted, the judge could sentence him as either a juvenile or an adult. The possibility of a blended sentence is also on the table. As the legal proceedings unfold, the Mackrell family wants the courts to look further. They want Elizabeth Pulioteg to face consequences too. Her role in enabling her son, despite knowing how dangerous his behavior was, is being compared to the parents of Ethan Crumbley, the shooter responsible for the Oxford High School mass shooting in 2021. In that case, the shooter's parents were convicted for their negligence in allowing him access to a gun. Could this be a precedent-setting case for parents being held accountable for their child's actions behind the wheel? Flynn McReynolds was an innocent victim in a situation that spiraled out of control. His life was taken far too soon, and his family continues to mourn the loss of their son, whose potential will never be realized. As this case continues to unfold in court, it forces us to ask some hard questions about responsibility, both behind the wheel and at home. Should Kiernan Tague face the full force of the law for his reckless actions? And should his mother be held accountable for her role in allowing her son to continue driving, despite clear warnings of what could happen? These are the questions that remain unanswered. Thank you for watching. If you found this story compelling, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, every decision on the road can change lives forever.